This is episode 543, and today we're going to be talking about how to be on time. Now, I did take a break last week. It was 4th of July, my birthday week, in a sense, so did some traveling, so did not put a podcast up there in case you're wondering. But today we're going to be talking about how to be on time. You know, I got a lot of great qualities and characteristics and attributes from my parents, but one of them that came from my mom is being on time. And John Wooden talked about if a meeting starts at 8 and you're there at 8, you're late. So being on time has a lot of importance as far as life is concerned, about relationships, about business, about jobs, about careers. And while occasionally being late for events or work days or even school days is normal, constantly running late may be a sign of some deeper issues in your life. You know, tardiness on a severe level, though, turns into a major issue, just not for you, but also for those who depend on you at the final destination. You know, you could be waiting for, a friend could be waiting for you to take them to the hospital, or it's a critical time where you can only have so many people in line, or it's a job interview or whatever. And so this tardiness can really, really cause some deep challenges in your life. And a lot of people I know who are constantly running late going, oh, I don't run late that often. And that expression, how you do anything is a reflection of how you do everything, holds so true, because nobody ever calls them on it, so they don't know they're late. People just accept the behavior because, oh, that's just a friend. That's just the way John is. That's just the way Mary is. And it doesn't get pointed out for them to clear it up. But chronic lateness is a delay occurrence with some people. I mean, with some friends, it could be this, as clients work on it. Tardiness such as this can actually catch up with you after a while if you don't find a way to change it. And eventually, I had some friends who would show up late all the time and at work, and they got reprimanded, and they didn't show up on time, and they got fired. Now, granted, if you're in a salary position, you have that type of flexibility. But if you're unfortunately in an hourly position, you keep showing up late, that's not going to go good for you. But remember, we live in a society that expects better of you than running late constantly everywhere your journey on a regular basis. I mean, we expect people to show up when they say. We expect people to give us the word. So think about this, right? You say, yep, I'll be there at 8. And you're not. You broke your word. You broke your promise. So now, how can anybody trust you? Because how you do everything is a reflection of how you do anything. If you broke your word on being there on time, where else are you going to break your word? So when you do not change this behavior, it can cause issues such as job loss, school suspension, or in many cases, loss of friends. You develop a reputation for being the late one instead of your many positive attributes. People will look at the big annoying thing first before they remember, oh, you're kind, you're generous, you're this, but you're always on time. So how can people depend on you? So here are some ways of running late. These are some examples or some signs of it. Avoiding anxiety. Many people who run late use tardiness to avoid anxiety by arriving late to an event or other functions. So the anxiety is in their mind about being at the event. If they get there too early, what am I going to do? Who am I going to talk to? What am I going to say? So they arrive late and so the event or whatever is already happening, so they don't have to talk to people, they don't have to do anything, they just show up. If it's a movie, they show up and sit down. If it's a party, they just show up and kind of meandering around. So one way is avoiding anxiety at the destination. Making a power statement. This is really big at work. Other lateness individuals arrive at their meetings late to assert their power. So effectively, they're saying that I'm more important than you. I can get here anytime I want. And this is sometimes a conscious move and sometimes an unconscious move. But in meetings at work, a lot of time it is to show that they are in control, that they have the power by showing up. So if this is you, consider why you're showing up late, and then, we're going to go through some ways here on how to get back on track. But consider, your behavior at work. Are you showing up late? Is this kind of a power statement? Another one is testing the love of others. And a lot of these things are unconscious. And this is why I'm bringing them up, is so that you can be aware of them and make conscious changes. So people also turn to lateness as a way of testing the love others feel for them. They show up like, it's okay, I still love you anyway. It's okay, we're still friends. It's okay. So they test the other person or persons. It could be a friend, it could be a significant other, it could be, a son and daughter showing up late for something with the parents. But it's testing the love of others. It's like, will you love me if I'm late? And make sure that you love me. And again, I want to emphasize these things are all unconscious. Thrives on chaos. Yes, there are those people who love drama in their lives, who love chaos, and they just love the chaos and confusion of running late. They're scattered. They're all over the place. They get this adrenaline rush. And Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this in Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. The chemicals that are released with our emotions are hyper addictive. So if you're running late and you create this chaos, you're getting that adrenaline fix for the day. And you may be, quote, an adrenaline junkie, but you're not doing it with adventure sports. You're doing it by running late and creating chaos in your life. Magical thinking. These individuals that participate in this magical thinking constantly underestimate the time they need to perform their duties throughout the day. So it's like, well, I need to be at the doctor's at 2:00, but I have this. I can swing by the dry cleaning, pick up Sally from school, do this. It'll only take me 15 minutes. Well, it takes 45 minutes and it takes 20 minutes to drive to the doctor's, so they're late. So people with this magical thinking underestimate. It's kind of like, we overestimate how much we can get done and underestimate the time that it takes. Anything, any goal, any project, anything, generally speaking, we overestimate how much we can get done and underestimate the time that it takes. So if you're one of those that constantly misread the time, this is a good place to start to readjust that. Easily distracted. So when people are easily distracted, they may feel they need to wash the dishes before they leave. They need to fold the clothes before they leave. Put the dishes in the, right, whatever it may be. It's like, before I go, I need to do this. Well, my ex and I had this challenge of I was always on time and she was always running late. And one of them was this, I need to get this done before we leave. And I assured her that nobody was going to break into the house and do the dishes. They would be there when we got back. Nobody was going to come, break into the house and iron the clothes or put them away. They would be there when we got back. So think about it. These things, if you're constantly distracted with this stuff, don't worry about it. It'll be there when you get back. Your commitment to being on time, you gave your word, you gave your promise, is much more important than doing the dusting or putting the clothes away. So now these are signs of ways that you have been late or running late. Now let's go through a couple of ways how to be on time. One, think about it, right? But reduce anxiety. So, if you're going to reduce anxiety to go into someplace, carry a book, a magazine, a MP3 player, or, right now your smartphone is a great thing. You can listen to music, you can listen to audiobooks, you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to anything. And reduce the anxiety of arriving early. Now, I never had the anxiety about arriving early, but when I was in sales, I would make sure that I was at least a half hour before my meeting, I was sitting in the parking lot. Because I'd lived in the LA area and I lived in the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area, and traffic there was so unpredictable. But what I did is I got there early and then I would listen to some podcasts. I would listen to great motivational speeches. So that half hour that I was sitting in the parking lot, I used as productive time. So get there early if you have to. Sit in the car and listen to things or go for a walk, but just make sure you don't go for too long of a walk so you are on time. But this is some way to reduce the anxiety of being early. Practice positive leadership, right? Instead of exerting power over others with your lateness by, oh, I'm the powerful one, practice positive leadership habits such as being on time. Just so your example, this is do as I say, not as I do. So this is actually do as I say and do as I do. So if you want to be perceived as a leader of your household, of a leader in your business, of a leader in your friends, then show them the respect of showing up on time or early, and they will do the same for you. Once we start to go down the road of lateness, then everybody thinks it's okay to be late and things get really out of whack. But if you can do positive leadership by showing up on time or early and then encouraging and set the example by your behavior, then you can start to hold others accountable for keeping their word and showing up on time. Practice self-love. This is a really, really good one. So practicing self-love, and you'll not need to test the love of others, right? So when we're late to see if others love us, we're kind of insecure with our own self. So when we can take time to appreciate ourselves, love ourselves, and know we are worth all of our attention, we don't need external attention to validate ourselves. We can look in the mirror and say, I love you, you're worth this. And when we can practice self-love, that will diminish the need to get acceptance and love from others. Quit seeking thrills. So through lateness. Now, I admit it, I love mountaineering, rock climbing, and all sorts of fun things, and that's where I get my thrills. But if you're getting your thrills through being late, you may want to quit seeking those and go someplace else to see those thrills, someplace more healthy and environmental. Do CrossFit, do water skiing, do snowboarding, do something to get that adrenaline flowing within you as opposed to being late. Allow sufficient time. This is the thing is in my car, I set my clock 10 minutes fast. I know it's 10 minutes fast. I know it, and I have been doing this for years and years and years. But when I'm kind of driving to an appointment and I look over the clock for a split moment, I think that's the real time. And so I base my behavior on that time. Now, I don't do it in the house, but I do leave extra early. So when you think that you're going to take you only 20 minutes, imagine if you hit every red light and every red light took 3 minutes. How long is it going to take you now? Imagine having to stop and get for gas, because a lot of times we don't think about it. We get in the car and I got to stop for gas, and you pull over, and that's so you want to allow sufficient time. It's okay if you get to wherever you're getting 10 minutes early. You sit there, you walk around, you get a coffee, you do something. It's okay. It will be a relaxing time if you get there early as opposed to rushing around and getting there late. Avoid distractions. That means that whatever the tasks you do will be there when you come back. Just remember that whatever promise you gave to a friend, to a professional for their appointment, whether it's doctor, dentist, work, whatever, that is your commitment. That commitment is your word. Your word is your promise. That takes priority over folding the clothes and putting them away. When you know you have to leave, you give yourself enough time and you avoid distractions. And right, because even if you pick up the phone and you go, I'm just going to walk out and talk, many times we stop and we have the conversation, and then we realize, oh my gosh, I'm running late. So that's what voicemail is for, right? Is to get the messages. You can use hands-free when you're driving, but just avoid those distractions, right? Chronic running late will cause problems for you and those who wait on you. And if it's not, it soon will. Do not live your life under the misconception that consistent tardiness does not lead to certain unpleasant consequences, because it will. Friends will start to not make plans with you. You'll get fined, not fined, but charged for late fees, with bills, with everything, with returning things. All this stuff piles up. So consciously making promptness a priority is the first step to attaining it. So acknowledge that you are more than 50% late. Acknowledge that you're going to do something about it. Acknowledge it, and then be aware of all the actions that you have to take to make sure you're there on time. If you'd like to see the show notes on this, you can go to warriormindcoach.com and look for the podcast and the blog, and you'll see that there. You can also go over there and ask for an introductory consultation if you need some coaching on how to be on time and self-love and discipline and resilience. And while you're on the internet, over on the website, please follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest under Warrior Mind Coach.